And there she is. This countertop is dead flat. And the sheen is absolutely beautiful. That is not sandpaper. You cannot do that on pine with sandpaper unless you're doing something ridiculous like 1500 grit or something like that, but you're not doing that on pine. Especially not this low grade, super knotty stuff. It's not worth it. But I had a heck of a lot of fun planing it. All I used were the planes that you see here, starting with this scrub plane, which takes off wicked thick chunks and does so very nicely, so you can remove a lot of material in a short period of time. The blade on this guy is very convex. If I can get it out here. Yeah, you can see it right here. See how rounded that blade is? That's what makes it real easy for you to hog off huge chunks very quickly, because you're not taking off a wide swath, you're only taking off a very small area, and you're creating a channel. Once you have a whole bunch of channels in there, then you go to the number 5 jack plane. This guy does a really good job of averaging out those channels and getting it flat. And then I'll use my 6-foot straight edge, check to see how flat it is, where the low spots are, mark them out, and then repeat with the scrub plane and the jack plane. I did that until the thing was pretty much dead flat, within reason. And then I moved on to the Mamma Jamma, my number 6. This is a union plane. This thing is a beast. It's pretty hefty, and I was able to take off, 7/8 thousandths of an inch strips very well with this thing. Nice controlled stock removal with it. And then once I was done with that, I used a little block plane for all the edges, because it does a really good job of cutting end grain. But the final plane was this absolute masterpiece of a plane. This is a during World War II era Stanley number 4. I made a new tote for it. I still need to profile it, but it's been like that for 2 years. I've basically lived with it. This thing is flat to within a few 10 thousandths of an inch, using an old machinist technique called scraping, and referencing the surface against a granite surface plate, again used by machinists. This thing is my smoothing plane extraordinaire, and you can see the results before you, because that's the last plane that touched this wood. All the blades were sharpened on this gem, Work Sharp WS3000. This thing is absolutely phenomenal for sharpening wood tools. It would have been a little bit better if I had extra 3600 grit sandpaper, as well as additional 120 grit for getting some of the nicks out of my blades. But anyhow, I made it. My cabinet is done, except for just finishing. I'm going to do a couple coats of boiled linseed oil, and then finish it off with paste wax. The whole front operation here is sanded very roughly with that 36 grit on my random orbit sander. This stuff is beastly, and to be perfectly honest with you, I actually really like the texture and sort of sheen, or the finish left by that super aggressive sandpaper. So I'm actually going to leave the front exactly as is. I'm not going to try and sand it super smooth. Super happy with how the top turned out though. Thanks for watching. This is a preview. There's going to be a bunch of videos on this to come. Cheers.